Hi everyone, myself Vamsi Krishna. In this session, we are going to discuss how to deploy Spring Boot MongoDB application onto a Kubernetes cluster. Okay, this is what we are going to do, and I have already installed couple of softwares, and I have EKS cluster readily available with me. Let me show you the softwares which I had. I had Maven already, and I have Git already, and Docker is there, and Kubernetes is there. We have Kubernetes as well, 2 node cluster. I have all the prerequisites, and what we are going to actually do is I will clone the repository for Spring Boot Kubernetes example, and once I clone the repository, I will try to build a Docker image and I will try to push it to Docker Hub. From there, I will create Mongo secrets, Mongo config, and then Mongo persistence volume and persistence volume claim, and then I will do the MongoDB deployment, and then I will do the Spring Boot deployment. This is what I am going to do end to end. Clearly, let us get started with the implementation steps. Okay, let me start cloning the repository. Click on repositories, and I have Kubernetes repository, and click on clone or download. Git clone. This is the repository, and inside this repository Kubernetes, I have Spring Boot, I have 2 examples. I'm using Spring Boot Kubernetes Mongo example. This is the example I'm going to use. If you see here, I have the Docker file, and at the same time I have application.yaml file, and this particular YAML file I'm using Mongo host, MongoDB, Mongo username and password. For Mongo username and password, I will be using Mongo secrets, and for Mongo host and all, I will be using Mongo config. These are the 2 things, Mongo secrets and Mongo config. And one more thing is, if you see, I'm using Spring Cloud Kubernetes dependencies. That's why we have Cloud Kubernetes Discovery Register true. Okay. In this example, we are going to use Spring Cloud Discovery module. We don't want to worry much about the part. Just we need to make sure you know application.yaml, so that when you write the Mongo secrets or Mongo config, you don't get confused. Let us get started with the implementation steps. Let me open the README file. We have all the prerequisites set. First, we will build a project. Do -n clean install -d skip test equal to true. Okay. Build is success. Next thing is, you need to build Docker image. Do Docker build -t. Done. Next, you need to log into Docker Hub. I am already authenticated. In your case, you need to give username and password. And next, push the Docker image to Docker Hub. Okay. Docker image is pushed. Docker image is pushed. Next thing what we need to do is, for MongoDB and Postgres, we need to encode username and password. This is what Mongo secret is. We need to make sure we give MongoDB username and password. For that, I'm using Mongo admin as username. This is what is the username. And then this is base64 encode for password. If you see, these are the two things. Same thing will be there in Mongo secret. See this? This is MongoDB secret. Mongo secret is the metadata name, and username is nothing but this one. Okay, this is base64 encoded value of this one. If you want, you can decrypt using these strings as well. If you decrypt, it will give you the same. See, it gave Mongo admin. Okay, I encrypted and you can decrypt. Base64 encode and base64 decode, both are giving same. And second thing is we have Mongo conf. In the Mongo config, we have host name and database name. If you see the code, as I showed just before some time, go to src main YAML file, Spring Boot Kubernetes Mongo, src main resources, application YAML, Mongo username and password are part of Mongo secret, Mongo host and database are part of Mongo config. This is Mongo config. Then we need to create persistence volume and persistence volume claim for MongoDB as well. Persistence volume is a cluster-wide resource that you can use to store data in a way that it persists beyond the lifetime of a pod. Persistence volume claim is a request for storage similar to how a pod requests compute resources. A persistence volume claim provides an abstraction layer to underlying storage. For example, an administrator could create a number of static persistence volumes that can be later bound to one or more persistence volume claims. That also we have Mongo storage. If you see Mongo hyphen PC is persistence volume storage class manual, and then Mongo hyphen persistence volume claim. This is persistence volume claim. Okay, we have both persistence volume and persistence volume claim. Let us execute all of them at once. First Mongo secret, and then Mongo config. Okay, if this step was missed in the readme file, but anyhow you need to execute Mongo secret and Mongo config. Mongo secret and Mongo config are created. If you want, you can verify. kubectl get config map. This is config map, mongo-conf, and you can see the secret as well. This is secret. Okay, we have both Mongo secret and Mongo conf. Next thing is we need to run MongoDB persistence volume and persistence volume claim. Both persistence volume is created, persistence volume claim is also created. You can see kubectl get persistence volume and then persistence volume claim. See, this persistence volume claim is using persistence volume which we defined some time back. Okay, this is perfect, and it is created under this one. Next, we need to run the MongoDB deployment and MongoDB service. Let me show you the deployment file as well. Mongo-deployment. If you see Mongo-deployment, we have MongoDB image Mongo:\latest, and we have Mongo initdb root username which we are fetching from Mongo secret, root password which we are fetching from Mongo secret, and we are using volume vines which is nothing but Mongo persistent storage, and this Mongo persistent storage, it obtains the volume from persistence volume claim. This is MongoDB deployment. Similar to the deployment, we have Mongo service as well. This is Mongo service. We just expose this as a cluster IP. Okay. We can use DNS as well. That's fine. Let us execute these two things. Now MongoDB deployment is done. We can see the pods. kubectl get pods. This is the pod which is running. If you want, you can connect to the pod and verify whether you are able to connect to that Mongo using username or password. Username is Mongo admin and password is admin123. Let us connect to the pod. kubectl exec -it interactive terminal, and this is your pod name --bash and mongo -u username is mongo admin -p password is admin123. Now we are able to connect to Mongo perfectly. If you want to see the databases, you can see the DBs. As of now, there is no DB created from Spring Boot application. This is fine. You can exit. Our MongoDB deployment is perfect. Now let us get started with Spring Boot application deployment. Now we have a Spring Boot application deployment file, Spring Boot deployment file, and here if you see, I mentioned the image Vamsi Tech Tutorials. This is the image. Okay, if you can verify Docker images, this is the image. This is the image. Okay, this is the image which was created 8 minutes ago, and then followed by that we have secrets and config. Mongo username, we are getting it from secret. Mongo password, we are getting it from secret. And then database name and host name, we are getting it from config map, which we defined some time back. Let us execute the deployment. Deployment is executed. To access this deployment, we need to expose this deployment as a service. Okay, we can see Spring Boot -service YAML. This is what we are doing. Our service type is load balancer and we are redirecting it to port 8080. And let us execute this command. This is executed. Now see the deployment. kubectl get deployments. We have Spring Mongo service deployment, and then kubectl get service. We have the service as well, Spring Mongo service. Now here we will get one exception if we don't give the permission. Okay, one possible exception could be, this is the exception which you may face. Okay, this is for access control when you are working with service accounts. Okay, if you see, you may get something like service is forbidden, user system : service account. Okay, I'll show this exception as well so that you will understand easily, and then we will fix this as well. The main reason for this exception is the default service account does not have enough permission to retrieve the services running in the same namespace. If you see, our service is running, the Spring Mongo service is running in the default thing. Sometimes what happens is the default service account may not have enough permission to retrieve the services running in the same namespace. In order to fulfill this request, we need to create a role binding associating the default service account with an appropriate role. Make sure you execute this command or else you will face issues. Okay, I am executing this command. Okay, now role binding is created, which is nothing but default view. If you want, you can see kubectl get role binding. Okay, if you see, we have a default view created for the cluster role view, and the service account default colon default namespace is default. Okay, now let us get the load balancer URL. Kubectl get service. This is your load balancer URL. Copy this and go to Postman and start accessing the URL. Okay, now I have defined 4 URLs. Let me show in the code from where these are coming, right? Go to the code. In the code, src main, Java, controller, product controller. Here we have 4 methods. One is post mapping add product. Second one is get mapping get find all products, and then get mapping find product by product ID, delete product by product ID. First, we have to save the product. For that, the URL is /add product. Go here to Postman. First, add product, and in product, we have product ID, product just ID, product ID, description, and price. Click on. One thing is you need to go to select the post method. In the body, select raw, and here in the drop down, select JSON, application JSON, and mention the JSON. This is the JSON which you need to mention. If you want to save another product, another JSON. Okay. Something like this. Okay, I'll insert both the products so that we can see easily. Click on send. Okay, we will verify whether the load balancer is in service or not. Click on EC2 instance, load balancers. Now the load balancer is in service. Okay, this is in service. Click on send. Now product added successfully 100. That means we are able to save the first product. In the same way, add the second product. Go here, replace this and save it here. Send. And product added successfully 200. That means we are able to hit the add product API, and now we have 2 products. Now remaining things, you don't need Postman also. You can come to Chrome browser and you can test it. Here you can test remaining APIs. Let me paste it here. What is the second API? Second API is find all products. Click on this. Now we should get 2 products. See, we have product ID 100 and product ID 200. Right? We have both the products. Next, what is the third API? If we want to find product by ID, we need to use /find product, /find product. This is the one /find product. /100. This is product ID 100. If you want product ID 200, you click on find product ID 200. That means we are able to fetch both the products. Let's say if you want to do a delete operation, instead of find product, mention delete product. You got deleted product successfully 200, and then pass 100 also. You can delete product ID 100 as well. Deleted product, this one. Now to confirm, you can say find all products. There are nothing. Okay. With this way, we are able to perform all the CRUD operations. We have seen create operation, and we have seen read operation, and we have seen delete operation as well. And our application is working perfectly. Okay. Thanks everyone for watching this video. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel.